Hello, good people. This is Dyliard speaking, the CEO of the Open Wardrobe Gang, and welcome to another episode of our blind playthrough of Mass Effect 3. In the very last one, we did it. We brought it home, we saved the galaxy, yet again, and probably for like the very last time in the foreseeable future, and we experienced the Mass Effect peakness, associated with the emotional ending from which I am kind of still in pieces. So today I will try to, recollect, regather all of those pieces, put myself a little bit together through, analyzing what really occurred there in that ending. On top of that, we'll be hitting up the Codex, maybe checking out, other possible endings that you can go through. Many interesting pieces on our today's agenda. However, before we get into that, a small update for the channel. That voting I was talking to you, dear viewers, some time ago, telling you about it some time ago. Yeah, it's currently open. If you, dear viewer, want to have a say in the very next game that will be, appearing on the channel, fret not and be quick. Head over to the link in the pinned comment on this very video, so you can have a say in the very next game that will be arriving on the channel. Well, without further ado, let's jump into what the hell happened. In order to go chronologically, though, I have to, start off with my review of Mass Effect 3 whenever on this channel I finish up a game. In that very episode, not much after finishing up the game, I try to come together with some general thoughts and feelings that I have towards the title, and this, this time I don't want it to do it any other way. That's right. Obviously, I have to be mentioning that Mass Effect 3 is like a sequel, a third and final game in a trilogy, so I am certainly unwilling to repeat myself on too many of the talking points we've already been through. I think all of the positives that I have for that I had for Mass Effect 1 and 2, they still stand, and will be, just talking about more, Mass Effect 3 specific things. Well, here we go. Let's start off with the gameplay, and I believe there was a great improvement in the gameplay department in Mass Effect 3. I just had a lot of fun with the combat, more than I had in Mass Effect 1 or 2. I don't necessarily know whether it is due to me playing a class that was right up my alley, the engineer, who was a jack of all trades, right, but a master of none, or whether it was due to, improvements that Mass Effect 3 introduced. Things that are certainly not related to the class, and my enjoyment of the engineer is the cover mechanic, which I believe was also improved. Two things I have in mind over here. Certainly, Shepard is not as sticky as he was in Mass Effect 2 when they forced the cover mechanic onto us. Now he usually goes in places where I, the player, desire, instead of, sticking to random fucking surfaces around him, seemingly at random. And on top of that, the enemies and the combat in this particular one, the combat is much more fast-paced, in my opinion, and the enemies are constantly pushing you, or for example, throw grenades your way, so you can never be, just sitting ducks in one place, falling asleep. No, you have to be constantly on the move and, constantly be repositioning yourself. Very fun aspect of Mass Effect 3 gameplay. I believe the loadout mechanic also brought so much depth and variety into the table. The fact that we can choose on which guns we are bringing along with us, and based on that our general cooldowns are affected. That's a great thing that surely brings more replayability onto the table and just mixes things up in a fun way. This game, similarly to Mass Effect 2, still has great variety of enemies. You know, just thinking about Cerberus, it's just like guys with shields that you want to pull or, you know, shoot them in their visor area. You have invisible bitches running around with swords. You have snipers on like the Cerberus side. These annoying ass grenade throwers doing like the greatest Kobe impression that they can be, you know, pulling off. Engineers on the other side of the conflict, throwing down their own turrets. It's great. The variety is great. In my opinion, the level design and like the area design is also improved. Mass Effect to a certain extent felt at times as like a bunch of corridors leading to encounters, basically. But this game feels like a bunch of corridors that lead to a bunch of arenas, due to like the enemies being more pushy and using more disgusting techniques, such as, you know, the grenade spam. The developers had to open up those encounters into just, you know, bigger things, like arenas through which you can move freely and reposition at will. Also, they added a lot of verticality, I felt, to some of these levels, so that's great. I am sad there are no vehicles in the game. RIP the Mako, RIP like the Hammerhead. But the things that they throw in, that is some of those COD sections where somebody is operating like a vehicle and you are, you know, shooting from like the gun turret, for example. These are very fun. Or just throwing some gun turrets in certain levels and you using them, or using just like those neutral, I want to say, guns that you find on the ground. These sections also break up like the gameplay in a fun way. The scanning, however, is still fucking whack. I believe it's probably better than resource extraction of Mass Effect 2, but it's been like a pattern that I've observed, that, you know, the devs don't really know what they can be, you know, doing that well, you know, in these out of combat gameplay mechanics. And yeah, it's okay. The scanning is probably better than Mass Effect 2 extraction, but I just find it like another step in like a weird direction, or maybe just like a sidestep regarding decision making, right? Maybe one step forward, one step backwards, and one step sideways. Something closely associated with the gameplay is the items and the loadout. I feel like I ought to be mentioning it. You love to see the return of numbers. Not only like the numbers associated with weapons, but also numbers associated with armors. There are so many cool weapons in like this game. Such a shame I cannot play with every single one of them, and it still is like a head scratcher. How come Mass Effect 2 only had like fucking 3 or 4 submachine guns, and that was basically it, considering my Shepard? Now, with the introduction of like the loadout mechanic, the game opens up. The developers are just throwing everything at me, every single gun associated with every single class. Now I am making my, own decisions in what I bring along, but it still, in general, makes sense. Right? Yeah, you can bring in like the big guns associated like with the soldiers or close quarter combat, but then you are penalized in the area of skill usage. I think it's just Like, the loadout mechanic might be this game's GOAT. Coming up to another point that is like the story. And I believe this is like the biggest difference between this game and other entries in the series, and the biggest strength, kind of Mass Effect 3. I love how important the main story is in this game. I love how important the Reapers are and the Cerberus are to like the plot of the game and to the events of the game. You guys must remember my complaints regarding Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2. Yeah, like the main story is peak, but how come we are only getting like 5 to 6 missions of main story for all of like those hours that we spend in the game? Here, everything seems important, and every single main story mission is lengthy, and it really feels like most of the time I'm doing main story missions and not some filler. I am very much in love with like the narrative, which conveys like the sense of like this finality in the trilogy and in this war, and it being like the climax of the story. I also think like the story has, great pacing, which is something that you cannot say a lot of times about these kind of open world RPG games that tend to, drag if you want to be checking under every stone, but not here. In my opinion, the individual missions maybe contributed to it being like having like a perfect length, in my opinion, on their own. Being around an hour, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit less, and after that you get downtime to speak with your squad and reflect on like the mission, and it's great in my opinion. The game also does what I was asking previously, that is visiting every part of like the galaxy. We visited like the Solarian worlds, we visited like the Tuchanka. Now no more fucking rubble, but more main story business with like the old Tuchankan capital or city, the underground parts also, the Asari homeworld. We finally saw like the surface of Earth on multiple occasions. It was great that we got to visit so many places, and I think the game was also good at answering a lot of questions that we had about like the universe, that is the origin of the Reapers, or like the info on the Protheans. But at the same time, I thought it was done well, in the sense that they were not like over explaining, and there is still to be, things are still to be desired, and questioned, and there are questions to be answered. But at the same time, yeah, I feel like satisfied with like the answers we got. So kind of like the game struck this perfect golden middle, between over explaining and having no satisfying reveals. Another category, characters, and this is like a mixed type of bag for me. Regarding squad mates, certainly Mass Effect 3 isn't as filled with characters and character arcs as it was the case in Mass Effect 2, but it's understandable because, as I was saying, laser precision and focus from like this game on like the main story mission and the conflict at hand. Certain decisions regarding our squad mates I actually dislike. Certain things I am indifferent about, and certain things I really like, but I guess I will leave that to the squad mate character tier list that will be coming later on to the channel. They certainly did, however, strike gold with certain characters in this game. Javik, Garrus, Rex, and Morden, and probably like the elusive man on top of that are just so captivating and interesting characters that whenever they are, on the screen, it's absolutely peak content happening. One ought to also talk about Shepard. He is so good in this freaking game. I cannot believe it. First of all, about dialogue and his character as a whole, I am so impressed by the writers to make such an authentic and an all-round character that is just like believable. Even though there are these numerous dialogue options that we, can choose from, and they are associated with decisions we have to choose, it seems like all of them could be picked by the main character of Shepard, and they absolutely make sense in the process. Very impressed with like the writing here, and I'm loving how they fucking punched Shepard in the gut. I love how they knocked him down a peg or two, or a couple hundred fucking pegs. Doing that, just putting him in like a bad place, gave the character more depth, and it's so much cooler and enjoyable also that it brought him closer seemingly to the other characters that are on the screen. No longer Shepard is this god that cannot be hurt in any shape or form and who fixes every issue. He is a human after all, but he is built different. But it's so cool to see how close he got to some of those other characters I was previously talking about. Considering the visuals, they certainly are the best in the series. Everything kind of looks beautiful and authentic, and I've realized that many like elements of like an action game genre were incorporated into Mass Effect 3, but at the same time, I'm absolutely loving them. The dynamic angles that the camera is often taking, or some dynamic sequences, such as, Shepard operating a gun turret while somebody else is driving, or my absolute favorites, the dynamic transitions from cutscenes into gameplay when we are unloading from the space dumpster, right? These sequences are so memorable and so cool to see. So yeah, the game looks great. Also, color palette, while Mass Effect 2 at times was when I think about Mass Effect 2 and how it looks, there were like a lot of browns for whatever reason. I don't know why, but this is what I associate with Mass Effect 2 look now when I'm thinking about it. However, what you are seeing in front of your eyes, the deep blues, so present throughout Mass Effect 3, are so enjoyable to look at. An example being the fish tank right in front of your eyes. This is how, Mass Effect 3 looks, at least in my head at the given time. If we briefly also mention like the music and the sound design, I think Mass Effect is like, once again, the best in the series. Music, Mass Effect 1, I was kind of indifferent about it. It certainly fit that game and like the atmosphere, and like the heavy geth, I want to say, presence in that game with like those synth tunes that you often hear in it. Not my favorite one. In my opinion, Mass Effect 2 improved on, like the original, and, Mass Effect breaks into, exciting and memorable category. And my favorite genre inside of the game must be like the action music. I was stopping so many encounters dead in their track during our playthrough to just listen to like the music happening in the background, so stopping like the game so we don't hear like the gunshots or we don't see like the squad mates yapping, just like the music happening in like the background. It's obviously fresh in my mind also, but that like tense theme that was playing when we had to make like the ultimate choice, that was also another new addition, only presented to us at the very end of the game, and it worked great. Sound design, as always, meaty and powerful. And the very last thing, performance. It was mostly great with some just minor bugs here and there. For example, like the Shepard clone, entering like the the walls of the Normandy, and you were unable to progress with like the quest line. But mostly great. The performance on like the bug side. Regarding like the engine, my goodness, they were squeezing as much of it as possible, 110%, when they fucking filled like the citadel to the brim with refugees. My goodness, like the the FPS drops were ever present and noticeable. However, this is like only a problem in those downtime situations when you're just like exploring or talking with characters. So not that noticeable. Never did those performance issues appear during combat. So we are good on that front. Reporting to you guys from like the combat information center, I believe this is, in order to check out like what we have in like the Codex and what we have in our war table. I was looking at like the different saves in order to establish whether any new Codex entries appeared in our Codex after we went on to do like the final 2 missions, I guess, past the point of no return, and I don't believe they, add anything new, when I believe briefly, checked that out. So this game state, which is right before, I believe the Cerberus mission, should have everything that we want to have in our Codex reading session. Sadly, and this is like, the very last Codex reading from Mass Effect, in the foreseeable future, so it's like, pains me to say that we don't have that many blinking categories in our, main story or our secondary story codex. So yeah, let's move into them and see what they entail, and let's hope as much as possible.
Jelix, the second planet in the Arai system, is a marginally habitable
Okay,
world
Thessia.
of mountains and ice. The Asari homeworld, Thessia, is the core of the largest economy in the Milky Way. The planet's reserves of Element Zero are so vast that they affect its price galaxy-wide. Because life on Thessia evolved in an EZO-rich environment, the world is home to a wealth of both biotically active and EZO-resistant species.
Really?
Travel to the planet is strictly controlled, but smuggling remains an issue. Thessia is host to varying republics instead of a single government, and although each maintains a formidable military, it is notable for having long been free of internal or external wars. The Asari are renowned for their cultural and political dominance, and they excel in ambassadorial ventures. They have a strong presence in Citadel politics and galactic policy. However, it is the unfocused political structure of their homeworld that has left the Thessians unprepared for the current conflict.
Huh. Intriguing. Well, it's so good and so sad at the same time to be hearing like the voice of our narrator. Great image associated with Thessia. I absolutely loved everything about that mission. Like the reveals about the Protheans being involved in Asari culture and history. Loved like the quarrel between Liara and Javik that happened after that mission, and certainly like the god punch of Shepard absolutely failing in his mission to obtain anything substantial from that planet. Yeah, just looking at like the associated image, I wished we could have visited the planet on just like a different occasion, right? The Salarian homeworld was so intriguing, and we had so much time to actually look around before Cerberus popped the party. That it was lovely to see. In the case of Thessia, it was kind of already in ruins when we got there, so we didn't really get a real Thessia experience, it feels. Okay, what do we have here?
The Reaper weapon,
Geth
nicknamed
Spitfire.
Blackfar, is like the Geth
Oh.
plasma shotgun. The Spitfire is not a true energy weapon. Instead, the minigun magnetically flings clusters of superconducting toroids. These donut-shaped projectiles are designed to shatter upon impact, arcing electricity between the fragments and flash converting them to plasma. The gun's punishing automatic blasts impact with the heat of a cutting torch. The weapon's stopping power has garnered the attention of both Alliance and Quarian intelligence, who theorized that the Spitfire may have been designed to destroy other Geth. Enough Spitfires have been found in the field to suggest that the weapon is out of the prototyping stage and that a schism among synthetics may have forced them into production.
Very intriguing. Probably picked this one up when we were visiting Rannoch, right? The Quarian home world. Shame regarding that place that we didn't spend longer time in there, but you know, at least we went. It's like the angle we should be looking at. As I was saying also in like the review just some time before, I greatly enjoyed the addition of all of those, you know, weapons that we can obtain, you know, in arenas, in the environment, because they would greatly support us in the times of need. For example, that one Banshee who would kill me repeatedly after I was missing her, also repeatedly, just shows how valuable all of those in here are when you're playing. Oh, it pains me to say, but we are done with our lovely narrator and like the main section of the Codex. It's time for like the secondary stuff, but you know, without the beautiful voice narrating them and having me instead, it's just not the same, man. I prefer also sitting here and listening instead of, you know, doing the reading myself, not gonna lie. Okay. At least I'm seeing some interesting, you know, things in here. The Reaper War, the Darkness Breached, Leviathan Secrets, and planets and locations. So we are starting with a low-key one. Ontarom. 16 years ago, the Systems Alliance established the first dish field on Ontarom, defying the tidal disruptions and electrical storms that periodically sweep across the planet. The facility has since grown into a crucial communications hub for the Alliance. Trade between the Alliance base and nearby human settlements sustains planetary unity. The Alliance also trains and hires colonists to maintain the quantum communicators, further strengthening the bond between locals and the military forces that use the comm stations. Although most of the communications relays serve the military, a coalition of Ontarom's business has begun constructing on a civilian broadcast hub. The local Alliance commander has offered the help of the military technical experts, making Ontarom a symbol of civilian and military cooperation. I believe I remember that that planet, especially when they are mentioning communication and dishes. Relaying information across the galaxy. I remember this mission because it was very brief and it was I believe I said something along the lines of this could have been an email in regards to the mission itself. Obviously we were fighting Cerberus like we tend to do in Mass Effect 3 there. Leviathan's Secrets, bonus Codex entries, it's titled. Unlike any other. Okay, Mass Effect 3 from Ashes, okay. So the DLC-related ones are bonus. No Council races Leviathan, okay. Tell me something about, like, the original, the OG squids. I still uphold the information, or the opinion, from just some time ago, from, like, the review, that I don't think that they reviewed too much. I think they reviewed enough about Leviathans and the Reapers and like the Protheans to keep my interest, wishing for more to be there, but it's not like the over-explained stuff. I think certain, IPs and finales suffer from just, losing all of like the magic regarding like the universe when there is no more doubt theory crafting or dark spots in like the timeline. I don't think it was necessarily done in the case of Mass Effect 3, and I'm, enjoying possible new places where this franchise can go. Essentially nothing was known of the aquatic species dubbed Leviathans before Commander Shepard's report to Task Force Aurora. Okay, so they are indeed aquatic. I mean, I never really knew, the name suggests just that, but, maybe they were just, able to live underwater and this was their, hiding place. Makes sense to hide at the fucking bottom of the ocean, running away from, like, the Reapers, but good that we are having a confirmation in here. No record of their species' true name exists, no ruins are attributed to their civilization, and no influence on the other races has been recorded. The task force can only conjecture based on the limited information provided by Shepard. Intriguing. I remember that one mission with wall paintings where we were trying to get Anne, her name was, like the daughter of like the scientists, extract her from that planet. There were, not face paints, but wall paintings of either the Leviathans or the Reapers. But I guess they'd be just too ancient for something like that. Their current world is unlikely their homeworld, okay. So it is surmised that the Leviathans mastered technology and spaceflight despite their immense size and aquatic nature. Their ability to communicate with and mentally dominate a land-based sapiens would have been a necessary step, and so whatever homeworld the Leviathans hail from would have included a thrall species whose civilization served their purposes. Okay. Something that I was not thinking about, I guess. Not their homeworld makes sense because, many signals of many signals and many evidence of their behavior and doings were spread across like the galaxy. But it's true, they are creatures of flesh and bone. At least flesh to some extent. They had to have they had to have spaceships, right, to travel through the galaxy, but they are enormous. I don't think, as much of a badass as they are, can like they sustain in like the void of space? Or they need like, spacesuits on them, or just ships as a whole. Presumably their bodies can withstand... Okay, fuck me, man. Just yapping my mouth when I should be reading the very next paragraph. Presumably their bodies can withstand both the extreme pressure of the depths and the lesser pressure of a coastal area where they might come into contact with these thralls. Okay, it's about the depth and the ocean and not the outer space, but hey, if somebody is capable enough to sustain like the ocean, maybe also like the space, I don't know. Transporting a creature the size of the Leviathans into space would have been a significant engineering challenge. It's likely they used for ease of travel as the Hanar do, and deployed cybernetic filtration to breathe air as well as oxygenated water. It is unknown if the Leviathans have modified themselves with the equivalent of biotic amplifier, but it seems probable. The faster-than-light communication of their pulses would require precise control previously unknown to modern science. One can only guess at the innovations of the species, and the Leviathans are volunteering no such information. Yup. Not the most involved in, like, the war, truth be told. And if you really think about it, they are butt ass fucking naked in, like, the ocean. No signs of any sort of garment in there. Or, buildings or furniture. They just be, chilling. As I was saying, yeah, sure, we know that these are proto Reapers, but not much more. With their reveal, I don't think, the secret was ruined in a way. The Reaper War itself. Okay. Desperate measures. Faced with utter annihilation, military planners have considered extreme solutions in their quest to stop the Reapers. The two most plausible are the destruction of mass relays and the use of starships as suicide weapons. Destroying a mass relay to stop the Reaper advance is infeasible, although it has recently been proven that mass relays can be destroyed. A ruptured relay liberates enough energy to ruin any terrestrial world in the relay's solar system. It would take too long to evacuate the millions or billions of people living near each relay, and the Council is unwilling to sacrifice that many lives when combat stands a chance of saving them. Eventually, you also run out of places to evacuate to. Even if a garden world were to survive the relay's destruction, the Reapers have infinite patience. They traveled out of dark space using conventional FTL travel within the galaxy. Travel within the galaxy is not an unsurmountable barrier. Very intriguing. Meanwhile, starships are too costly to be used as projectiles, given that it will take more collision to seriously harm a Reaper. They're kind of enormous. Some armchair admirals suggest that a single starship traveling faster than light could obliterate a Reaper, a capital ship, but all ships based on mass effect technology possessed hardwired safety features to prevent FTL collisions. Yup. This is like such an interesting safeguard, something that Star Wars didn't think about when they released that, episode 8 or something. Then they came with, like, damage control. Oh, it was only like I don't know, a miracle that actually we aimed like the ship properly and, collided with another ship. If a ship FTL plotter finds a significant object in the path of a planned jump, the FTL drive refuses to fire in the first place. Okay. This could surely be modified, though. This is not a perfect safety feature. The sensors can only scan for objects within a reasonable distance at light speed, and the navigator must plot the rest of the course, but it is so inherent to the FTL warm-up process that removing it is nigh impossible. Okay. Cynical intelligence analysis note that the secret of Mass Effect technology, including that safety system, has always been attributed to the Protheans, just as the mass relays were. Another enjoyable aspect of this universe is we kind of stumbled onto, like, the technology, and we still don't understand, like, the extent of it. The Battle of Rannoch, okay. What is it about that, Reaper jumping out and, scaring us shitless? And me doing Dark Souls rolls around it? The Quarians' plan to take back their homeworld was risky and could easily have led to their annihilation if a peaceful solution had not been found. Yup, I agree. The Quarians be kind of tripping to do it in, like, the middle of the fucking Reaper invasion. In initial battle against the Reaper upgraded Geth ships, the Quarians found their heavy fleet and a portion of the patrol fleet outmatched. To stave off defeat, the Quarians retreated at FTL speeds to rally with the civilian fleet on the far side of Rannoch's sun Tikkun. Temporarily hidden, but with only minutes of advance warnings, should a Geth scout spot them, the Quarians planned counterattacks to disrupt the Geth link with the Reapers. First preying on a damaged Geth dreadnoughts, the Quarians followed by sending strike teams to Rannoch's surface to destroy the Reaper that was transmitting improved software to Geth forces. When the Reaper uplink was disrupted, the Geth suffered momentary downgrades in response time and intelligence, allowing the Quarians to press their advantage. But an emergency order from Commander Shepard and Admiral Shala Ran Vastonbey broke off hostilities before the Geth's full capabilities were restored. It is to the Quarians' credit that all three fleets obeyed the order to cease fire, even the civilian fleet, which had little combat experience. The Geth, for their part, bore no ill will towards enemy combatants and broke off hostilities with perfect discipline. Yeah, that was like a section of events, or sequence of events, rather. Good that it all came, together. Kind of a little bit just disappointed maybe with like the involvement of like the Geth and like the fleet in like the very last fight. I think like the Krogan were doing like the heavy lifting. I think like the fucked up Turians, after whatever was happening on Palaven, they were doing like the heavy lifting. The other races a little bit more to like the side. I didn't see like the Geth fighting anywhere, in Vancouver there, or rather in London, during the very last fight. So yeah, maybe they were just, hanging out with like the Alliance up there, occupying the Reapers in like the outer space. It remains to be seen how the Geth and the Quarians will manage to coexist on Rannoch. For now, they have committed their considerable military forces to repel the Reapers. Given the long-lasting animosity between the Geth and the Quarians, it is possible that the Reapers did not plan for the possibility of such an intelligence and will be such an alliance, and will be unprepared to contend with both armadas. A little bit of a tease towards the future. The more open-ended questions there are, the more one is excited about, Mass Effect Andromeda. I don't know whether it's like a sequel or like a prequel, but certainly it has like enormous potential and room to be, filling the player with, interesting new developments, right? Either to see, what was before the emergence of like the humans in the outer space, or later on to see, like the outcome of this whole conflict with the Reapers and breaking really in one way, form or another, the hold the Reaper had on like the galaxy. And the fall of Thessia, RIP to like the sexy Asari. The assault on Thessia did not go smoothly, as the Reaper's strikes against other races. Really? Maybe this is why they were holding so long still, that they managed to, smuggle us onto like the planet, and actually were able to walk towards like the Asari temple. While other species met the Reapers head-on, the Asari resorted to dangerous hit-and-run tactics to harass their attackers. By engaging in guerrilla strategies, blasting a Reaper ship, then jumping to FTL where they could not be tracked, the Asari forced the Reapers to remain on the defensive. Impressive! Unfortunately, the Reapers' greater numbers allowed them to accept certain losses, so they soon ignored the attacks against them and began orbital bombardment of Thessia. This in turn forced the Asari to defend their homeworld with a more traditional stance, facing the Reaper forces directly. As soon as the Reapers landed on Thessia, their harvesting began. Yup. As I was saying, the mission on Thessia was a gut punch. A swift and brutal slaughter of the Asari ground forces followed. Resistance from trained biotics barely slowed the attackers down. In the end, Thessia's minimal military forces, combined with unpreparedness in the face of an overwhelming enemy, resulted in the fall of the planet. Well, they were holding for long enough, up until I swooped in and fumbled against Kai Lang, the edgelord himself. And I guess this is how our codex comes to an end. I'm saying this with like a tear in my eye because every piece of like supplementary material in this game was just like very much enjoyable. But I guess this, is in line with BioWare games as a whole, because like the Codex in the Dragon Age games, most notably in like the Dragon Age Origins, is also awesome. So much world building and additional info that you just love to see. I love when like the developers go like the extra mile in order to world build and throw something the way of players interested in slowing the gameplay down even more and sitting there with their noses up in like the codex or other equivalent of it and enjoying the additional things being thrown our way. Yeah, what can I say? The codex was just like an awesome element of like the Mass Effect journey, greatly appreciated. And here we are back with like the war assets. As we checked right before of going into the very last confrontation, we are sitting at a whooping 7.8k. I do wonder whether you could be squeezing more points out of like the war assets, but seeing like the bar being filled completely to the brim, there might be just a tiny bit of more points, maybe eclipsing 8k, and maybe that's it. Seemingly every freaking category is glowing, but if my memory serves me right, there were like updates in here. Yeah, there would be like updates in here, and you had no idea previously whether you've already checked something out or not. Elcor Flotilla possesses a few cruisers and carriers, but its real value is troop transport. Because of their shape, the Elcor carry shoulder-mounted heavy weapons. Shame we did not see that on screen ever. VI run systems handle reloading, targeting, and ammunition selection. It is not unusual to see a troop of Elcor soldiers toting rocket launchers, chain guns, and other intimidating weapons on their backs as if they weigh nothing at all. Too bad we didn't see that happen. As I was saying, the double chain gun to both sides of an Elcor, who is, firing them with like a deadpan expression and speech, that would be a great thing to see. Citadel Defense Force, or rather the Governor Grothen Paznas, because I misclicked. Who the hell is this? The governor of the Batarian colony Kamala was outspoken in the early hours of the Reaper assault, blaming the Alliance for the destruction of Batarian boys that were in fact destroyed by the Reapers. Now liberated from his world, the governor has undergone a dramatic conversion. His daily extranet videos rally his commerly conservative, xenophobic subjects to embrace the Citadel species as brothers and sisters in arms. Hold up, Mr. Governor. I don't want anything to do with like these stinky Batarians. you guys only have a 1-up on like the Vorcha, the absolute rats of the galaxy. Come on. Unlike many Batarian politicians, he also avoids micromanaging military affairs, content with inspirational tasks and the logistical nightmare of providing urgently needed relief to Batarian refugees. Oh, good thing he came about. The Defense Force updated. Oh yeah. An increase in refugees on the Citadel depleted resources that might have otherwise gone to defense systems. Civilians volunteering at emergency clinics help to save lives. Warning people on the Citadel to prepare for the war has improved civilian readiness. Doctors at Huerta Memorial were discouraged by their failure to prevent the suicide of necessary command and care. A con artist exploiting refugees was thrown off the citadel. Spectre authorization released medical supplies from customs to Huerta Memorial. So it's just like a redub on like the things that we achieved along the way. What is the very last one? The recovery of Rings of Elune, named after a revered Asari physician, inspired Asari civilians to volunteer at Citadel refugee clinics and hospitals. Okay. So yeah, the work that we're doing, along the way resulted not only in credits and EXP, but also sometimes in like the war assets coming in clutch. Void Devils Fighter Wing. The Void Devils are a recent military creation consisting of Vorcha fighter pilots trained by human and Turian mentors. Though uniformly young by other species standards, the Devils have a laser-like focus on the task of taking out enemy ships. Courageous in the extreme, they are also notably disciplined for Vorcha. During the invasion of their home world, the Devils fought hard, but ultimately obeyed the order to retreat while the wing was still intact, leaving them alive but burning for revenge. That's cool. Vorcha doing something useful. And the Labor team. Look at this insane motherfucker. Don't get this guy anywhere close to our tech. This fucking crazy scientist. These socialized Vorcha were a maintenance and calibration crew on a small scientific outpost orbiting Tyrix. Such skilled labor is rare among Vorcha, but not unheard of, since Vorcha trained by other species for precision tasks develop finely tuned nerves and senses. Additionally, this crew can heal cellular damage caused by radiation exposure, which is useful since the Crucible is being built where no planet's magnetosphere protects it, and extra vehicular activity on its hull is often required. Okay, so they did something to help us build like the Crucible. That's nice. And like the Leviathan Enthrallment team. A mixed species team of 400 is a lot. A mixed species team of special operations soldiers have volunteered to covertly deliver a Leviathan artifact behind enemy lines. These attacks aims to make Reaper creatures thralls. Oh, to make Reaper creatures thralls of the Leviathan. Too bad we didn't see that on like the screen. That could be cool. On a small scale, this could cause chaos and disruption. On a large scale, and if given enough time, it could form an army of Reaper creatures dedicated to exterminating their own kind. The team's major limiting factors are the small numbers of artifacts and the reluctance of Alliance commanders to operate openly with such a potent weapon, for fear the Reapers might develop a countermeasure. That's awesome. Taking into consideration how powerful the Leviathans were, being able to just pulse a Reaper out of, like, thin air, really, it's a shame we didn't see more of them during, like, the conflict. What do we have here? The Engineering Corp with updates. The base of Hesperia period statue is covered in Prothean writing. Translations have proven useful to engineers working on the Prothean device. Okay, so also like the scanning we did along the way is coming in clutch. First Fleet. Improved treatments for chemical burns are being implemented by Alliance doctors and medics. That's nice. Third Fleet with human forces fighting Cerberus 2 Colossus, due in part to a shortage of engineers in the Alliance Third Fleet. Okay, so a little bit of a debuff coming in towards like the very, last battle. Communication arrays. Before fleeing on Taram with Commander Shepard's help, technician Grace Sato saved a copy of the schematics for the Alliance's most advanced communications relay. Sato will use these schematics to build several smaller arrays to collect crucial intel from points in various systems. As I was saying, all of like this hard work that we're doing on and off screen really is paying off there in like the final. Sixth Fleet. Traveling through Council space when Earth was invaded, the men and women on board watched helplessly as footage of the devastation rolled in. Their last order from Admiral Hackett was to avoid engagement and lay in reserve. After waiting for so long, the Sixth Fleet is eager to finally engage the enemy. Let's go. And these guys in the fifth Krogan power grids are supplying energy to Purgatory, allowing the club to operate as usual, improving the morale of soldiers on shore leave. That's great. The Krogan coming in clutch for us. Normandy. What are the very last updates to the Normandy? Were we doing any particular work on the Normandy? The crew of the Normandy, both past and present, have bonded over their shore leave experiences and vented stress that could otherwise damage their mental focus. They will fight for Shepard on, or for one another with renewed zeal. Okay. So there was some sense in going on short leave. Synth diamond heat sinks. Key ingredient in military-grade heat sinks that are used in computing high-end thermal clips and starship weapons. Liberating tons of it from facilities on Brest this time will help both ground and space forces. And Dr. Ann, which did not go insane, thankfully, you know, we snapped her out of that Leviathan influence. She survived the ordeal with Leviathan's artifact and retained most of her mental faculties. Her research into paleotechnology could be useful in understanding the Prothean device and the laws of high-energy physics that the Reapers seem to ignore. The Asari's Time Armali Sniper Unit. Elite team of Asari commandos who favor long-distance engagement. Some of the unit's soldiers have augmented themselves with strength-boosting cybernetic implants, allowing them to fire heavier guns like the 39-kilogram M98 Widow anti-material rifle with incredible precision. Okay. I don't know when we picked them along the way, but that's cool. Ser's Guard set out to stop Bloodpack mercenaries attempting to enslave Asari colonies in the Terminus systems. After a ship-to-ship fight, the commandos and mercs crash-landed. With no means to contact Thessia, the surviving Asari continued to engage the grounded Bloodpack, whittling down the frustrated slavers with traps, ambushes, and nightmare offensives. After 9 days and more than 100 casualties, the Bloodpack surrendered, and the mercenaries were astonished to learn they had only been battling 5 Asari commandos. Although the Guard downplayed their heroics, they became instant celebrities upon their return to Thessia. Okay. 20 Bloodpack mercenaries for 1 Asari in there. That's impressive, not gonna lie. Husk Neural Map. The biologists on Chalkos have made a quick study of the brain structures of husks and other Reaper creatures. Isolating the parts of the brain responsible for interpreting sensory data, their conclusions contrast the various strengths and weaknesses of Reaper ground forces when it comes to sight, smell, hearing, and so forth. This data could be extremely useful for soldiers or citizens trying to escape and evade Reapers on occupied planets. That's nice, probably something the Elusive Man would want to, lay his hands on. The Crucible. Jovian dissertation, just 5 points. The scientific data draws conclusions about the gas giant Isley's exceptionally powerful magnetic field, which has complex interactions with those of its moons. The mathematics used to model this complexity can provide new insight into the math of the Prothean device. A brief glance at the data hints at some kind of energetic pulse that might pass through the magnetosphere of a planet unimpeded, but any details are best derived by high-energy physicists. Intriguing, just 5. Not much in the face of the protein data files, for example. Radiation shielding sheath. I have to say the Crucible has such a wacky fucking design. Every time I look at it, I don't really know what I'm looking at, even after the finale. The protein device is being built in space where its inner workings may be vulnerable to cosmic radiation from nearby stars. While the construction plan has taken standard risks into account, a sudden turn in space weather could pierce the basic shielding and irradiate the device and crew. Superior radiation shielding used by the orbital stations near the gas giant Sirius would provide a low-cost way to keep the device safe against all but the most unusual energetic emissions. Okay. Based on my experiences in the final, it all came together and the Crucible worked. Ex-Cerberus. I see. What's new in here? Oh, Miranda. Update about Miranda, that's nice. Miranda Lawson is an ex-Cerberus operative. At Cerberus, her intelligence, dedication, and leadership impressed the elusive man who assigned her to head the Lazarus Cell team that brought Commander Shepard back to life. Lawson brings extensive knowledge of the elusive man's dealings to the Alliance, directing them towards several clandestine Cerberus operations. A skilled shot and a gifted biotic, Lawson is as comfortable in a pitched battle as she is in the boardroom. Whenever I hear people praising Miranda's biotic skill, I always think back to Mass Effect 2 finale, when I gave her like the very important task of upholding the barrier, and then Thane died because of it. I will never let you live it down, Miranda. The Geth. Geth Corps. Until recently, the Geth... an update. But I don't think we are familiar with like the Geth forces being on our side the very last time. I guess I will read it nonetheless. Until recently, the Geth expected nothing but violence from organics and designed themselves accordingly. All Geth platforms are armed, shielded, and built to withstand combat. When they are on the battlefield, enemy tactics and positions are swapped instantaneously between the AIs. The Geth also employ turrets and drones, expendable hardware support to keep losses of networked platforms to a minimum. The result is the largest and perhaps best equipped infantry in the galaxy. Okay. Commander Shepard's interview with Diana Allers about the Geth emphasized their value as strong military allies. The Council reluctantly sent the Geth shipments of rare materials to upgrade ground units. Okay. Speaking with Diana also seemingly comes in as something useful. Rewriting the Geth heretics significantly boosted the processing power of the true Geth. Their increased strength made their fleets both more efficient and more lethal in battle. Too bad we didn't see too many, Geth X Reaper clashes. Would be interested to see of like the reactions from like the Reaper forces, because these fucking big ass Reapers can speak and emote. Would be funny to see. The Harbinger being surprised by the Geth arrival. Turian. What's new, what's popping? 10 points, Dextro rations. Okay. When they were struck by the Reapers, the agribusinesses of Triginta Petra had a surplus of both plant and animal-based food products for dextro amino acid-based sapiens. Both Turian troops who favor a meat-heavy diet and the Quarians who are typically vegan show a marked preference for these recovered rations, suggesting that although they were wiped out by enemy forces, the Petrans had pretty good taste. Serving Petran food to a unit about to go into combat can restore a little morale and dignity to an otherwise demoralized squad. Wait a hot minute. When did I get this one? It sounds ridiculous. For just 10 points? Okay, that's hilarious. The Turians, after everything that happened on Palaven, at least, like, you know, the rations for 10 points are coming in to boost their morale just a tiny bit. Or, you know, our world is being, you know, burned and blown to pieces, but at least, like, the food is good. And the Quarians. Everything here is like a new one, so I guess I'll read this one also. When Admiral Zal's chorus sacrificed his vessel to save a life ship, the civilian fleet thought they'd lost their leader. Oh, it's about this dude that we swooped in and saved. After Commander Shepard brought Zal chorus back, he passionately argued that the safest action for the civilian fleet was to stay with the flotilla. His captains rallied and stayed. The story of Zal Chorus's miraculous survival on Geth-infested Rannoch has spread throughout the flotilla, making him a reluctant hero as he mourns the loss of his ship and crew. The civilian fleet, yes, yes. Rewriting the Geth heretics significantly boosted the processing power of the true Geth, so this is the same. Heavy fleet. The fleet sustained damage to several dozen frigates that were unable to repair themselves in time to avoid destruction during the war for Rannoch. And the rewriting stuff is also here. And the patrol fleet. Yeah, also the rewriting. Basically getting like the nice ending. Like the Rannoch and Quarian and Geth conflict basically boosted like the Quarians in the process, which makes sense, you know, the bloodshed was stopped and then they could have, you know, had the opportunity to work together. And I guess that's going to be it for the war assets. Also greatly enjoyable to be actually reading all of those. It's very nice about BioWare games that there is like this consequence. That's obviously one of them when you finish up a quest and then see how it affects the world around you. And similarly here, I love how we can see where our efforts went, similarly to how also in Mass Effect Trilogy, you occasionally get an email from someone you saved or someone you helped or something developed due to your involvement, and then you get updates about it long after, you know, the mission is done. Greatly enjoyed likewise. And the very last thing I want to be, you know, checking out in regards to, you know, our playthrough in the way of Mass Effect 3, because everything else will be kind of like supplementary material, you know, not centered around our playthrough, but this still is. It's like, once again, going around, going through like the strict ending and checking out things I just like missed along the way. So here we have it, you know, the recording locally on my PC. And this is like the point I wanted to go through. And you know, just check some of like the things I missed. It's an absolutely awesome scene. As I was saying, great music, great sound design. The fucking trumpets, it's evil shit, you know it. The run towards like the thing is great. Come on. I was so confused. I was so confused about, you know, Anderson being there, zipped up by like the laser, because you never see him over here while you're, you know, running towards it. He only shows up like later, appears in there. So it's a bit confusing, but it's a great surprise too. Okay, let's speed it up. Oh yeah. The fucking moment. Our goat obviously dodges that thing, scot-free, 0 scratches. Look at these two doofuses. For whatever reason, the tank exploded, which is hilarious. Like, it's filled to the brim with fucking gasoline and explosives, and Shepard obviously has to, you know, evacuate them. I was so surprised that Normandy would swoop in and actually come in, help the boys.
Come on.
But yeah, Shepard kind of evacuates them. It's kind of freaking funny also that, you know, Javik gets like hurt and he is doing his like revenge story, right? Trying to put them down, but he is like the character limping in like the very last mission.
Don't argue with me. But I can still fight.
Being upheld by Garrus and shit. It's kind of freaking funny. I mean, you know, anyone who's probably, you know, taking his spot, like it can be Liara, it can be Tali, whoever, right? But the fact that it's Javik being carried and not the other way around is a little bit funny.
I need to know somebody's getting out of this alive.
Oof,
Commander.
it's just hard. Okay, Shepard returns to like the fucking battle. It's kind of freaking insane. We're gonna be going through like the greatest hits. Oh yeah, look at it. Running towards it while the laser is hitting him. In just a moment. Fucking harrowing scene, you know. You kind of know it's going, you know, you kind of know it's like all going into shit, right? With the trajectory of the story and Shepard being like the perfect martyr. But seeing him fucking mangled on the ground and fucking covered in blood is just so unpleasant to see. It's fucked up. It truly is fucked up. Look at him. Oh my god. Fucking, you know, armor totally destroyed or even to a certain extent fused with him, you know, due to like some, I don't know, the heat associated with like the space laser is just like melted into his fucking skin. That's harrowing. Okay. Drama queen on the ground. This guy is like the biggest joker. Not the guy being on the ground, the one who like pulls a fast one. Pulls a fast one on Shepard. Look at him. Like the greatest fucking shot in the galaxy. Shepard is already limping and on like the brink of death, and yet this guy jumps out and pulls a fast one on us. Crazy. Okay. Zap me up, baby. Okay, what do we have here? Oh yeah, the Crucible. Well, the Alliance fleet being absolutely destroyed up there. As I was saying, not seeing many Quarians and Geth in the vicinity. Coming in with like the Crucible packet. Yep. And here we are going, you know, fucking jumping into an absolute horror show. It was so surprising to see. Like, we got fucking transported into a completely different game.
Shepard.
Jeez. Scary.
Shepard.
They're like zapping people in order to, you know... They theorize, Shepard with Anderson, that they want to be, you know, converting them into another freaking Reaper. It's like, are the Keepers helping... Excuse me. Are the Keepers, like, helping the Reapers? Did you see that little guy picking up, like, the helmet? Maybe they are doing something with, like, the fucking bodies. They're just digging through the fucking bodies, this little...
I feel like death.
Scary shits.
But I'm moving. It's dark. There's human remains scattered.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Crazy finale. Yeah, look at this guy. He is looking mighty suspicious. Yeah, we're traveling through, like, the insides. It's looking absolutely grim. I do wonder to what extent, like, the Keepers are working with, like, the Reapers. Keepers, Reapers also rhymes. Didn't catch that, Mass Effect writers. This place is kind of awesome looking. As I was saying, similarly to, like, the Shadow Broker's base, it's another interesting thing, as I was saying, human language on that shit, and then we are emerging into this place. I'm assuming what we are seeing is just, like, the closed arms of, like, the Citadel, but it means that this should be somewhere around the Council's tower, right? It was positioned in, like, this middle of the thing, always in the middle of the Citadel. And Shepard and Anderson are so confused as to where they are. But if it is where, like, the Council Tower usually resides, they should be familiar with this place. Similarly with that chasm he was talking about down there and, like, the place they were zapped into. Obviously, it's now filled with bodies. Yeah, but this is, like, the inside of the Citadel, right?
Anderson.
Like, the buildings and, like, the wards, they were called. Just really small. I don't know what this shit is. Here comes our boy.
I can't.
I underestimated you, Shepard.
This fucking fuck. Looking horrific as... I don't want to say as always. That's a new thing. But, like, this is what I also don't quite understand. Illusive Man is indoctrinated, that's for sure. He has some, like, of the powers of the Reapers, I guess. But what is making him...
I warned you.
How did he possess, like, the power of, like, the fucking paralysis? Remote paralysis. He's not paralyzing himself.
Control is the means to survival. Control of the Reapers, and of you, if necessary.
Control, I guess. How is he controlling Anderson, and how is he controlling Shepard? Later on, Shepard points a gun and then shoots Anderson because of this power that the Illusive Man has. Okay, yep.
There were some who look at what humanity has achieved. Sinful.
Yapping as a villain that he is, pointing the gun at Anderson.
No. Then who? Are you going to control the Reapers? To control them.
Control.
Look at the power.
This is kind of a funny scene now that I look at it. Buck again. It's like, look at the power they wield. Look at what they can do.
Look at what they can do.
Fucking flexes his arm, and then Shepard pulls, like, the trigger. Man, it is not the most impressive display of power. You don't need too much force to be pulling, like, a trigger, you know. Fucking levitate a building and then throw it, Mr. Illusive Man, and then I will be impressed. But I guess he's getting at, like, the control part. Is it, like, fair to say that due to Leviathans and having their thralls and being able to control people, now the Illusive Man is also gaining, like, this power, kind of, even though we are not his followers or thralls or anything? But you see, like, the Reapers, they don't have it, right? They have their indoctrination or incorporating the people into their army and then twisting them, but outright control like that, just mind control, is not something that was displayed by them.
The barrel of a... But I can!
Are you willing to...
No! I'm in control. No one is telling me what to do.
Listen to yourself.
Interestingly enough, you guys have mentioned to me that you can actually make the elusive man siren himself. You just had to, you know, use a different sequence of dialogues.
I can't do that. You'd undo
Yeah,
everything
he's
I've
breaking over there.
I won't let that happen.
I think I go for "you are already here" line, and the renegade one would have resulted in him offing himself, I guess. But if it's like sirening himself, you know, to the head, then it's not as interesting because, you know, the elusive man gets shot and then he looks like on the earth and has one final line of dialogue.
Because of you,
No!
Okay, maybe I missed it. No, I didn't miss it. Speak your line, Mr. Elusive Man. Maybe I
failed.
No, I didn't. I didn't. Shepard has to open this shit up for him to have the line about Earth because we wouldn't be seeing it. Yeah, the arms are opening. So, you know, thinking about the layout of like the Citadel, which should be in the center of it. Therefore, I'm so was also confused why they were not recognizing this part where they, you know, appeared in. Sticking with his ass like a piece of cake.
Like I do, Shepard. It's perfect.
And here it is. Transitioning to like the Crucible, which apparently they build like a big ball in order to hide like a smaller ball, which then later extends its arms and connects with the thing. Yeah, I'm like, where the fuck is it exactly? It's another good question. Are we... Is it now connecting into, like, the Citadel, and this is where we reside, and there... Then Shepard is kind of sent to heaven, in a way, on that platform. He ascends into, like, the Crucible?
That's it.
I think that's...
Crucible is docked.
Well, they are getting across. Maybe not. Sitting right next to his partner, R.I.P.
Commander?
We did it.
Killing Anderson seems also a tiny bit cruel. This guy just went through hell to later on not have that much screen time in Mass Effect 3, and then he dies.
Quite a view.
It's a shame.
Feels like years since I just sat down.
As he is saying, you know, it's like fucking fought for years and then he gets a bullet from his protege and then...
I think you earned a rest. Anderson?
And it's GG for him.
Stay with me. We're almost through this.
Uh-oh. Don't tell him. Anderson is fucking asleep.
Anderson?
Sad piano. Understandable. Maybe it's possible to somehow save him. I don't know. Kind of doubt that because Shepard has to ascend on his own, right?
Shepard? Commander?
What do you need me to do?
I love it. I love the line. Shepard's like, you know, the pleasantries. We are done with them. Hackett is contacting me. He wants me to do something. This fucking asshole.
Nothing's happening.
What task do you have for me this time?
Commander Shepard.
He
I don't see... I'm not sure how to...
crawling towards this shit, and then, as I was saying, gets sent into heaven by like this freaking platform. Where exactly are we, you know, going? Yep, the Crucible is opening up. Not sure whether we are ascending some room in like the Citadel, or it's like the Crucible. It can't be like the Crucible, right? Because we are speaking with like the Reaper AI, we didn't create it. Wouldn't make sense for it to appear on like the Crucible. Must be still on the Citadel. That's cool and dandy. Mr. Exposition.
Wake up. The Citadel. It's my home.
Yep, the Citadel.
The Citadel. It's my home.
I guess some section of like the Citadel that the Council races or like any races, they just don't have like access to it whatsoever.
No, the Citadel is part of me. They are my solution. We found a way to stop. We harvested.
But you killed the rest.
We helped them ascend, so they can you solution.
Okay, I get it, mister. I know this.
So,
Leviathan, yeah.
those synthetic. They are not what it was to be life.
Present me the options, child. Present me the options.
The duel of releasing tremendous amounts of energy. There is not enough time.
Why didn't you stop?
Won't work any possibilities, but I can't make them.
As I...
If there is to be a new solution, you must act.
The child was talking about the solution.
To destroy us.
It's now in your power to destroy us, he says.
Solution, you must act. It is now in your power to destroy us.
I assume he's talking about like the destruction ending when you wipe out the synthetics and the Reapers. And like, I guess the child AI. VI. But this is what I'm confused about. Like, here we are seeing some flash of Anderson walking towards like the destruction and shooting it. And it explodes?
But be warned, others will be destroyed as well.
I was so confused by it during like the finale. It's like, you guys also notified me that there is like a fourth possible ending that you can just, I think, allow them to... I guess the cycle continues and like the Reapers prevail, but that doesn't look like it. Why? Or if they are getting like across that you are able to get a fourth ending by shooting at like the distraction mechanism. So there's a fourth option. Why didn't they use like Shepard's model for that to come across? I don't know what that is. I don't know why we are seeing Anderson over here. It's so weird. and it blows up.
Others will be destroyed.
Exactly will happen.
There's this kind of, you know, straightforward, there's this kind of explained well.
Yes.
I am kind of standing by my choice regarding, you know, the ending. It's sound on paper the coolest. Obviously, we'll be, you know, checking the other ones and what they lead into. But what we witnessed was pretty freaking cool, like the ending sequence we will see in just a moment. Yeah, as I was saying, awesome soundtrack playing. Completely new for the finale, and that's it. You do be appreciating things like that. I love how literal game-esque gamification form this ending platform has. It's literally like a walkway with 3 paths. You don't even have to walk for too long. And then you just, you know, press a button and that's it. Touch it, Shepard. If my memory serves me right, it looked fucking painful. Usually, you know, electricians, they be powering it down before they touch it, you know, the outlets and stuff. Getting pixelated. Seeing Anderson, the goat, who just died. A little bit unfortunate. If you were unsure of his fate, well, he's dead. Morden. No flashes to Ashley in this game whatsoever. From Mass Effect 1. Made into a goddamn god. Integrated into the machine.
All fleets, the Crucible is armed. Disengage and head to the rendezvous point.
I guess like Joker is looking for, I don't know, Shepard's signal at this point.
Look, I know. But we have to. Damn it.
Because it's time to dip. I'm not sure why they are disengaging. Oh, I know why they are fucking disengaging, because they don't know what is going on. It might be like the distraction route or something that will fry the technology, right?
I repeat, disengage and get the hell out of here.
So they have like one sequence
Look,
for the game, and it fits kind of all.
but we have to.
I was kind of confused by that also. Because, you know, the blue beam that is being... yeah. Spread over here shouldn't be hurting them, right? In our ending, it's only affecting, like, the Reapers. Interestingly, it, you know, turns off those in orbit, while these ones over here will be, like, taken over, and they will fly away, right? Amazing sequences, amazing sequences. The game is so Shepard-centric, and it's almost always is being presented through his lens. The camera and the action, they almost never get away from him. That is so surprising to be now seeing events such as these. I was so dumbfounded in Mass Effect 2 when we actually got to play Joker. The only instance when, like, the camera got away from Shepard. Yeah. These guys be peacing out. Another interesting thing I didn't catch is, like, when this, like, signal spreads through the galaxy, the mass relay gets destroyed. I didn't catch it. I was like, oh, what the fuck is flying? Oh, never mind. And I didn't see that, like, the entire system is being destroyed, basically, right? Each of those little destruction clouds are Mass Effect relays being destroyed. But then later on in, like, the ending, we see them being, like, repaired by the new Gold Shepard. I do wonder whether that's also, like, an element of, like, the distraction ending. The technology being destroyed, and it showing up on our screen anyway. Yeah, we are running away from it, but it is catching up to us. Now that I'm going through this footage, yeah, it all falls together, right? Into a correct place, and then they crash landed. I don't know whether that makes sense in a way, because like in our ending, like the blue laser is like friendly, right? It should be taking control of like the Reapers or something. And here we see like a destroyed Normandy, but later on it kind of leaves. So I was wondering whether it can be like an ending for Shepard's survival or like Shepard dying. They want this. It's like a footage from like the. I guess this is footage from like Shepard dying route. I guess everything will be reviewed when I look at like the other endings and what they entail. It's like cool to try to piece together everything. Yeah, new sunrise. Edie is alive. I do wonder. Yeah, that's like a thing. Edie is dead. Edie must be dead if it's like the destruction ending. But Edie is also on like the board of Normandy. What happens in that ending? They get out of like the Normandy, but then her lifeless corpse is like lying on the ground, and Joker cries over her dead body. It would be fucked up. Yup. Looks like an ending, right? That could be utilized.
Infinite. Immortal.
What a fucking Chad. End boss of main characters.
The man I was used these words.
Power walking towards like the screen,
understand.
looking you deep in the eyes.
And only now do I understand the full extent of his sacrifice.
Okay, yes, like the Reaper forces now giving off like white light because they did good.
Through his death, I was created. Through my birth, his thoughts are freed.
Yeah, but look, they are like basically rebuilding like the relay system.
They guide me now. Give me reason, direction. Just as he gave direction to the ones who followed him.
Is that like Major what's his face? Another surprise regarding like the ending, like this guy came out of nowhere. Major Coates or something? Who the fuck is that? I have to look that up on like on the wiki. Why was there so much importance around his character? I mean, seeming importance, right? He got like speaking lines and shit, and like unique model, and like lines here and there, and like interesting, you know. And maybe he was in some supplementary material, and he was like some important character that I didn't know of.
Ones who helped him achieve his purpose. Now, my purpose.
Okay, I recognize that ass anywhere. It's Miranda. Who is she working with? I have no idea. Maybe her sister? Who knows? Looking at like some Reaper tech. Jacob giving like a lecture to a bunch of people makes sense. Jack. It's like such... It's so out of place, bro. Jack would... I don't know what. Like, I don't know. Piss on a grave or something. Or got herself drunk. Or like shoot a minigun into like the air. Or like explode something on Omega. I can only assume it's like her mourning Shepard. I do wonder whether the other endings have, you know, Tali doing the same and Liara doing the same. It'll be kind of appropriate for like Liara and Tali, but not necessarily for Jack. Unless this is like her squad that she went into combat with, the kids, under her command, and some of them died. Now it makes more sense. Okay, Thessia looking good. Samara with her daughter. Happy for them. Kasumi, as always, doing her thing.
To give the many hope for a future.
You love to see the boys together.
To ensure that all have a voice in their future.
You so rarely see Krogan smiling, actually. It's kind of an interesting one, right? Krogan children being born, you know, you're presumably on some Krogan planet, you have Tuchanka, but oh shit, vegetation is coming back, so that's nice. Didn't catch that. This truly is Tuchanka. I remember that pyramid ziggurat-esque building. They are rebuilding.
The man
Awesome.
I was knew that he could only achieve this by becoming something greater. There is power in control.
The Geth with
There
like
is
the
wisdom
Reapers
harnessing
working
its
hand in
strengths and
hand.
remedy.
This is like the craziest one. Is that fucking Rannoch? Is this like the future that the Quarians are getting for not doing doing fuck all? These motherfuckers didn't do anything in like the finale, and they are getting a fucking futuristic city on fucking Rannoch. I mean, they still have like their masks on, okay? So I don't know whether that's Rannoch, but my goodness, and this is like the idea of, okay, the Quarians are now reintegrated into the space society, no segregation type of a thing.
I will rebuild what the many have lost.
This is kind of crazy also. Here we have London's something. So, okay, the Reapers on Earth. You have to be fucking traumatized by that shit. Whenever you see it, up until your death, you'll be fucking scared shitless. You'll hear like that buzzing fucking sound, you know, the Inception trailer, and you know, a red laser is gonna evaporate you.
Create a future with limitless possibilities. I will protect and sustain. I will act as guardian for the many.
Yeah, the Citadel and the Reapers.
And throughout it all, I will never forget.
Those that we lost, RIP. Not that many of them.
I will remember the ones who sacrificed themselves. So that the many could survive.
Okay, and yeah, we are going back to like the Normandy. I do wonder, is this happening like instantly after? Is there chronological event like course of events over here? Because we see them crash land on that planet, then we see them gathered over here, and they all you know, they already prepared one for Anderson and for Shepard, a title card or like a name card, and then they leave towards like the end of this sequence. Are they holding this funeral between the two events? Kaiden appropriately wielding that shit. Being the one who was saved, shit. Being the one who was saved by Shepard, and Ashley, you know, was thrown to like the wolves.
And I will watch over the ones who live on. Those who carry the memory of the man I once was. The man who gave up his life to become the one who could save the many.
The goat himself, and now Normandy is, you know, flying away. Do wonder whether this sequence is also used in like the distraction ending. They just fix their shit, and fly away. So the EMP charge was fried what it had to fry, but they just found replacements or fixed things. And maybe they fixed ED also in that ending instantly. Yeah, the most pressing questions I have is probably how endings where Shepard still lives look. That's probably like the most important thing, or interesting thing. But also kind of the ending when he fuses everyone with like the machines. That must be wacky. Is everyone like looking like, I don't know, something from something from Star Trek, the Borg, I think they are called, or something. The Star Trek, the show that they made back in the day on like a tight budget. So when they had like a cyborg type of a character, they would have like a I don't know, a piece of metal glued to an actor's face and like an antenna sticking out. I do wonder whether everyone looks like that in like the synthesis ending. And I guess I want to say I also like this ending sequence over here. Although there are many ending sequences, I like that aspect of stories. I cannot deny that. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for those stories where, oh, was it all a myth? Or like so many cycles pass that the events they get kind of murky and people don't necessarily know, and it becomes kind of a legend or a story that it was so important and had such an effect on people that it gets integrated into like the culture, I guess. Maybe it doesn't make the most sense in like the future where they have hard drives where they can store the data for an indefinite period of time, but something like things from the past, stories being passed down through generations through oral transition and stuff. This is what it makes me think of.
Long ago.
Yeah.
When can I go to the stars?
Kind of cool. I like it.
One day, my sweet, each of those stars could have many worlds. Every world could be home.
Tell me another story about the Shepherd.
The Shepherd.
It's getting late, but okay. One more story.
Cool, with a tiny bit of like a tease at the end, possibly, there's more to see kind of a thing, the franchise from 2010s, but, here I am playing it in 2026 and being, excited what we could be getting in the future, maybe. Not only for Mass Effect, but also for Shepard, him being as cool of a character as he is, as I've established in the review in this episode. Yeah, and I guess that concludes, things related to our playthrough that we can kind of interact with in game, right? Things that we didn't see, the journal, the codex, the war table, and reviewing the ending one more time because for like the better part of like the very last episode, I was just stun-locked by all of like the reviews and things unfolding on screen. As you can see, I have to sit here like a grandpa, pausing and taking in everything that I see in order to give some sort of a more educated reaction. Yeah, and everything that is to still come to the channel from like the Mass Effect franchise will be related to those things that we missed along the way. Some things that we will be able to see on YouTube. I'm really excited for Thane's involvement in the story and probably how like those endings look with Shepard being half robot and Shepard being alive. yeah, but I guess that's going to be it for today. As I was saying at the beginning of the video, we are having this vote on the channel, so please, if you are interested, go to the link inserted into the pinned comment down there in the comment section of the video and vote for like the very next game that will be appearing on the channel. Outside of that, thank you. Outside of that, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, but do it only if you guys feel like it. It's always greatly appreciated, though, when you guys do, because it helps the channel a great deal. And considering the channel, also check it out. There may be some other blind playthroughs in there that may pique your interest. For the very last time, thank you for watching, joining me on this lengthy Mass Effect journey, and see you in the very next one. Bye-bye, stay safe out there, you beautiful people. Bye-bye!